We got some very big Transformers Masterpiece news today in relation to the Generation 1 Masterpiece line from Takara-Tomy, Japan. And this was one that literally I had to look back how long this has been rumored to be the, quote, next masterpiece. For 5 years, I was reading interviews in Transformer Generation guidebooks and magazines how this was going to be the next masterpiece. And every time we'd see images of other stuff being the next masterpiece, whether it be RC or whatever's happening with that cliff jumper or what's happening with that Skyfire, Jetfire. There were so many different things saying, oh, the next one is going to be this guy we're going to talk about today. But finally it's happening. This image comes courtesy of Planet Iacon, a Singapore-based Transformers fan website. This isn't the first time that they've had these embargo images for pre-orders, which are sent out to retailers and distributors. And this is the case with one of that. We're obviously going to be getting better images of this in the next couple of days. So we're just going to have to pick apart and translate what we have here written in Japanese in this grainy little image. And we are talking about here today, if you have not seen the image, MP-56 G1 Trailbreaker, the 1984 Autobot car, vehicle, camper, whatever you want to call it. This is big news primarily because of what is written here in the embargo distributor pre-order image, where it says at the bottom here in Japanese that it transforms from a Toyota Helix 4WD, four-wheel drive, into robot mode Trailbreaker. What's important about this is that it pretty much confirms that Toyota is now going to be doing licensing with it. Now, obviously, the translation here says Helix. It could be Hilux. I mean, I'm going on the translation that's written here in phonetic Japanese, but it clearly says Toyota, and that's all that really matters more than anything else, because that means that much like what they had with the Honda deal and the Honda City Turbo and Reboost and skids and everything like that, it looks like they're going to do a licensing here with Toyota with this camper trailer transformer. So that's pretty freaking awesome, because that could open up the door to a whole bunch of other Toyota-based transformers if they need to when it comes to doing masterpieces and everything of that nature. Lord knows that when they're going to do a cliff jumper, they're going to have to jump through some hoops to avoid that Porsche kind of situation. So again, based off of the Toyota Hilux 1982 camper truck, that's what it originally was. The design that they're going with here is fascinating, because while the alt mode here is clearly going with a more toy accurate kind of design, although there is accessories that could change that, the robot mode is going heavily with a Fluoro-Deary animation model design, which has kind of been the going, style for masterpieces in the last while, with the exception of course, the Honda City with skids. They kind of went with a hybrid kind of alternators kind of look, but they're back at that Fluoro-Deary kind of animation model. And I mean, when you compare it side by side with the original animation model, it does a fantastic job. They did a really good job of getting all those beats and points, to the point that I feel that the chest on this robot mode might even be a faux chest now that I look at it. It really looks like they had to do some other twists and turns in order to make that a reality. But I really like what I see. I think it looks really good. And this was a guy that they constantly said, oh, this is going to be the next masterpiece. This is going to be the next masterpiece. And finally they got around to that. The accessories that they include here, and it's kind of hard to tell because it's a small image and it looks like it's cut off a little bit too. It looks like you get two different face sculpts here. So you get some different kinds of reactions or facial expressions here, which is pretty cool. You get a little satellite dish, and that satellite dish I'm going to assume is the satellite dish that Trailbreaker had when he was spying on the Decepticons in Mortem Meets the Eye Part 2, the second episode of G1. It's probably a throwback to that. It comes with this giant crystal, which I'm going to assume is the Crystal of Power from the G1 Season 1 episode Fire on the Mountain. That's what it looks like to me, and I think it pretty much looks like that's what it is. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It comes with accessories here that are kind of hard to make out, some clip-on pieces. I have to get better images of them. It also looks like it comes with a tune-accurate grille for the front of the vehicle. So if you don't like the chromy kind of toy-accurate grille, you could swap it out and have a tune-accurate grille for the front of the alt mode. So that's a nice little extra touch, too, to get that more show-accurate to toy-accurate. And that's another thing, too, because, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, after this, we're going to clearly get the hoist, right? Not so much in this case. What Flair O'Deary did, which was very interesting, is a lot of times, he would do one design that was kind of his own original take on the character in terms of his kind of style of the toy. And then we had the repaint retool brother. He usually was more toy accurate with it. Look at, let's say, Sideswipe's design, and then look at, say, Red Alert's design. One is very toy accurate, and one is very Flair O'Deary cleaning it up and doing his own thing. And it's kind of the same thing here when you look from Trailbreaker to Hoist. Trailbreaker clearly was its cleaned up design, and Hoist was very toy accurate. So if they do a Masterpiece Hoist in the future, I don't think it's going to be using a lot of the tooling done here. I think it's going to be kind of its own mold, or an extremely extensive retool when it's all said and done. But even then, I think they could just do something from the ground up that uses the same kind of beats that we got with the original Earthrise toy, if anything else. And then when you do a Hoist Masterpiece, then that's the route that you would take to do toy accurate Trailbreaker. Toy accurate, or Diaclone kind of characters. Because, like Trailbreaker had like a yellow repaint and a blue repaint, the DK2 that we're supposedly going to get or something. So, I think that'll go in that route. I think with this one, though, I don't really see what else they could do with it unless they just want to go with those Diaclone colors directly onto this mold. But I would say wait for the Hoist mold and then that would be more accurate in terms of the shape and the skull. The more short, stubbier, and fattier kind of design that I guess Hoist kind of had. But I think this looks really cool. Again, he has his accessories. He has his little force field stuff and everything. Again, it's really hard to tell with these images, but it looks really, really hype. Now, the numbering that they have on this image here, because this is an embargo image, and the embargo image says that the pre-order will go live on May 11th, on Japan time, May 11th. And then the embargo on this image could be lifted, although this is already leaked out from all the different websites and everything. But it looks really good. Looks really good. And compared to obviously up to this point, we've had a whole bunch of third-party masterpieces. And I think that this one really does a fantastic job of matching what the animation model is. And to me personally, I know everyone has different mileage when it comes to Masterpiece, but I find that what I want from Masterpiece is animation accuracy, because that's kind of the last frontier that really needs to be conquered. And it could only really be done with a high budget kind of product to really squish and squeeze with every piece of plastic. Where if you wanted toy accuracy, I think that Earthrise one is pretty good at being toy accurate in a lot of ways. Yeah, sure, it doesn't have the face sculpt, but it's there, and then if you really want toy accurate, just, buy the original toy, but I think that they'll get around to toy accurate anyways afterwards. If we get that Hoist Masterpiece, I think that's where a lot of the retooling and repainting and new characters will come from, both Diaclone and toy accurate Trailbreaker. Because toy accurate is a thing too at Masterpiece. It's not just within our legacy line where we're getting toy accurate repaints of our toys. Megatron got a toy accurate repaint, resculpt in Masterpiece. So did Shockwave. I could go on and on. So it would be no surprise if they do the same thing here to get more mileage out of this character, at least if they do a Hoist. I'm just more curious about the accessories. Are they going to give us a little force field kind of accessory too and stuff? It's kind of cut off here. But I like what I see otherwise. Again, I'm big on the Masterpiece line just because it's the pinnacle of engineering and intrigue for me. And the fact that we have Toyota as a license that's on board here, that opens up the door to a whole bunch of other characters too. Let me know what you think. I know this isn't the last we're going to talk about this. We're probably going to get some official images in the next couple of days, and we'll revisit it again. Tomorrow's the Saturday night live stream. Be sure to come for that and check that out. And, of course, also, if you haven't seen already, a new episode of the Transformers sister podcast that I do with Hasbro's Aaron Archer, The Toy Armada, on YouTube is also, we have a new episode live of that too, so be sure to check that out after you're done listening to my voice here. Take care, guys, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.